Starting us off with a song from the new album Stranger, and congratulations on the record. I believe it's your seventh. It was produced by Tucker Martin. How did you guys decide to bring in, I guess, an outside producer for the first time in a bit, right, for this album?
Yeah, we actually went and recorded somewhere kind of foreign, Portland, Oregon. None of us had any friends or family there, and we were a fan of Tucker Martin's work. He makes really beautiful records, and we just thought every record we try to do something different, make it sound different, and half that is geography and just all the inputs that go into making art. If you just shake it up, usually it ends up coming out differently. And so, yeah, we went up to Portland and kind of isolated ourselves before we were having to isolate ourselves.
This was about a year ago, right? You guys went out there for a couple weeks. What was it like? Was this a kind of a 24/7 type thing for a few weeks where you just kind of, when it felt right, you recorded?
Yeah, I mean, we went up there. We rented a house. We all lived together for a couple of weeks, and we just had the studio time blocked off. So yeah, I mean, we, pretty much get up in the morning, have coffee together, talk about what you're gonna do, go in and work most of the day, and have dinner together. So yeah, it was really cool. It was really immersive. We actually were there this week, 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Just today or tomorrow would have been the last day that we were recording up there. So yeah, it's wild.
What were all the songs done when you went in? Were they mapped out before you went in? Were they all written, or what was the plan when you got there?
I think we had a bunch of songs going up there, and things always end up kind of morphing once we get into the studio. New ideas come to light. A couple of the songs they were maybe most of the way done, and we had to write a chorus or write little bits and pieces on the fly. But we had a lot of material going into it.
Tucker brings, yeah, Tucker brings kind of a very distinct sound and a little bit different than what you guys are necessarily known for. Was that? It sounded like that was really a decision you guys made to kind of get out of your comfort zone for this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word I'd use to describe his records are they're cinematic. He sort of he paints scenes or pictures with the way he makes things sound, and that was something that we were interested in pursuing a little further. And I think with this batch of songs, his touch there was really a simpatico relationship with the material and with what he does really well. So, and I think again, also like Gordy mentioned earlier, we've kind of been, a self-contained unit and have kind of done almost all of our work in a very insular way. So this was just another opportunity to have a different experience as far as making a record and trying to do something different.
What was there? Was there a moment that kind of stood out to you working with Tucker that was just different? That kind of was like, wait, I didn't see it this way, and in a way, Tucker made it better. A certain song.
I would say probably the biggest way that the record is different from how we would have done it, probably doing it ourselves, is the songs that he chose. I mean, we went up there with maybe 20 songs. We had probably 30 in a batch before that, and kind of whittled it down to 20. And then the 10 that ended up making it on the record, the song choice, I think, was a big part of shaping the record. And just like his sound in general, I wouldn't say this was something we disagreed with, but the choice to put a string quartet on the record, when we love the idea, but that's definitely kind of like his world that he likes to live in. Lush, beautiful strings, but I don't know that there was a moment, where there was like tension or anything.
Not tension, but just something different where you're like, all right, I've never seen it that way, and it sounds like there were a few with his choices, and it sounds great. It's getting good reviews. The new record is called Stranger, which is out now. There's a song on there called Black Cat, and it's an interesting story. I'm curious where you guys came across this, because it's funny. I've listened to the song, but then when I actually listened to it again from when I actually read what the story was. Where did you hear about this? And if you want to explain to our listeners.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I live in Austin, Texas. Ed lives in Asheville. The band, Asheville, North Carolina. The band is based out of Austin. We used to all live here, and we've got a buddy here in town named Walker Lukens. He's got a podcast, this thing called the Song Confessional, and he took his Song Confessional thing to Newport Folk Festival last year, and he collects confessions from people to turn into songs.
Wow.
And so he basically interviews a bunch of people, does an audio recording. It's anonymous, so it's literally like a confessional with a wall in the middle of it. You can't see through it. And he's got a microphone on one side, and
Wow.
he's like, tell me your deepest, darkest secrets, or tell me the best thing that ever happened to you, or tell me anything in your life that you think would make for an interesting song. And then he records the audio, and then he sent me the audio of this one interview. And he kind of he'll either write the songs himself or send it to other songwriters. And so he sent me this one, and it was about this guy's great-grandfather. Agostinho Fonseca was his name, and he was kind of a hero like a mythic folk hero in his family. He lived to be 99 years old, but he was an immigrant who came over. He was a stowaway on a ship from Portugal and kind of snuck into Ellis Island in the early part, the early 1900s. And he was a bootlegger. He built part of the George Washington Bridge. But the most kind of shocking thing about his life to me was he was in this weird underground like cage fighting ring, and they would fight animals. And the legend in his story, in his family, was that his great-grandfather fought and killed a black panther with his bare hands.
Did you mention this man was 7 feet tall? Yes.
Well, yeah. So, the funny in the story, his father was 7 feet tall, and his grandmother was like 4'8" or something. So, or I guess this guy's parents. So he said there's a family picture like way back of like the two of them standing, and you see the grandmother, and then all you can see is the chest of his dad because he was so tall. His head was cut off of the picture.
That's funny.
But anyway, kind of a cool story, and it was kind of my assignment to try to come up with something. And I just thought about like what it means to have an inspiring person in your family that kind of drives you to do something great, or we all have people that mean something to us, and that's kind of trying to tell this guy's story while latching onto that idea.
Very good. Why don't we do that song now, right? Actually, Black Cat, if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah.
Band of Heathens with 92.9 and 96.9 EHM, our virtual Halloween party.
Did you ever hear the story of a stowaway child went to New York to start again? Running from a man 7'2" with a shadow that never ends. Always know who your people are. Don't forget where you're from. To lift you up and keep your feet on the ground. It's a fight till the death, then it's done. Know where you come from. Turn to the world of the underground ring of blood, sweat, beast, and brawn. No one could take Agostinho's swing, and he could fight till the break of dawn. On New Year's Eve, a man brought a black cat to the ring to steal his crown. Agostinho fought that beast all night till he finally put the panther in the ground. Always know who your people are. Don't forget where you're from. To lift you up and keep your feet on the ground. It's a fight till the death and it's done. Know where you come from. 99 years till he finally called it, the legend all but told. Down in the garden there's a 7-foot statue of a black cat lined in gold. Always know who
your people are. Don't forget where you're from. He was laid to rest underneath that statue. It's a fight till the death then is done. Know where you come
Very nice. Ed and Gordy of Band of Heathens joining us tonight for our virtual Halloween party. One from Stranger, that's Black Cat, which is in the EHM New Music Bin. I want to say thank you to our sponsors tonight, Ocean Air Services, the North Fork Chocolate Company, Main Road in Aquabog, and Brigands Run. It's an outdoor walkthrough attraction at Gateway's Haunted Playhouse. We have some prizes to give out to some listeners. We're going to do a little surprise and delight. I want to say thank you to Robert Allen Zimmerman. I want to give you a pass. I love that. That is there, Robert. I'm going to get you something from our big cauldron of prizes tonight. I'll get you actually a voucher for a walkthrough for Brigands Run at Gateway's Haunted Playhouse. Well, don't leave tonight. We'll get you that information as we go. We are doing a costume contest, so we're, I guess, myself and I might ask the band's help to judge the costume contest, but we'll go there in a second. I want to talk more about what's been happening with the band and what they've been up to over the past few months. You guys have really embraced the challenge of the pandemic. It's impressive to see because I feel like I read an article that said you were doing this 4 nights a week at least. And I think there was a 5th night, which was a full show. You've embraced live streaming. What's it been like? And kind of how have you turned that when it started in March? You brought back the Good Time Supper Club, which I guess launched the band originally. What's it been like to get through these past few months?
Well, I think, like anything else, necessity is the mother of invention. So I think sort of, when we kind of, dove into the waters with the live streaming, it's like, I think we were thinking, well, we'll be doing this for a couple of months and then we'll be doing some shows. First it was like we'll be doing some shows later in the spring, early in the summer, and then it keeps going. And then it's like, well, later in the summer. And then, before you know it, the year's almost over. But, I think it was just, like I said, I think it was just sort of out of something we needed to do. We wanted to figure out a way to keep connecting with our fans. And then on a more basic level, we have a business and we have 5 guys in our band and a great team that works around us. So it's sort of, it's an organism that needs to be fed. So that was, again, in terms of this working, we're really fortunate that we had a fan base that was willing to support what we were putting out. Between the Tuesday night, we do a thing called the Good Time Supper Club, which is kind of a variety show with music and just kind of featuring everyone in the band with different interests. And then Gordy and I have been doing a lot of personal concerts, kind of like this via Zoom, where we have up to 10 people sort of share a time slot with us. And that's been really amazing. We've actually made some great friends. I think touring is always fun because you're interacting with people, and we'd meet people like at the merch booth or whatever. Yeah. And there'd be these really quick conversations like, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you again, whatever. But with these, ironically enough, with the personal concerts, we've really been able to create some connections and get to know some people in a much deeper way, and it's been really rewarding insofar as feeling like, the connection we've made and our ability to share this music together has actually helped make a positive effect in someone's life on a real intimate level like that.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's kind of a surprise too, because I think when everyone gets on, it's like, all right, it's a camera, it's a screen, but then you actually start speaking with people. I want to take questions a little bit, so if you have something, feel free to shoot them to me in the chat, and I'll call on you a little bit later on in just a bit, because I do want you guys to interact with Ed and Gordy and talk about the new record or any questions you have about it. You've had a lot of guests stop by your studio for the Good Time Supper Club. It seems almost like you're, I think, almost working harder in a way. You're doing so many things. You record the covers of different songs, and I'm curious. I guess first question: how do you decide those covers and different artists to do that? But you're also doing videos for them and making sure that they get out to your fans.
I think this whole thing started. Obviously, our touring was taken away, and that was like the backbone of what we do as a band. And so, with this desire to keep connecting with our people, we just said, well, Zoom or live streaming, whatever. It would be easy to throw your hands up and be like, oh, it sounds terrible. But we kind of just did a bunch of research, and we're all into recording and sound, and we researched video, and basically we just took the limitations that were in front of us and kept trying to innovate and do something that no one else was doing at the time. And I think all the evolutions of our like Good Time Supper Club, having guests, and then, well, if we have a guest on, we could maybe pre-record a music video of a cover. So all these things were just kind of like ways, we were just trying to think of ways to make the show better. Even though there were lots of limitations, we all live in different cities in the US. We can't actually play together on Zoom because of the internet lag. So it was all just about like, well, what can we do? We can make a variety show. We can have different interesting segments. And having guests was kind of, out of that, like, hey, this would be a way, this is something different. We'll do interviews. And then that turned into, let's pick a cover song. And to answer your question, sometimes the guests will pick the cover song. Sometimes we'll suggest it. We tell them, though, hey, we're game for anything. If there's ever a song you've always wanted to play with a band, let's do it now. Anything you want. And so we've had a lot of fun with it.
Have you thought about, because if you go on your YouTube channel, and they're all up there, if I'm not mistaken, they're all, and it's great. You can watch the full Good Time Supper Club, which is like an hour and a half sometimes or longer, but you also chop it down to watch the cover. I know you've had Margot Price and a whole bunch of different guests as well doing covers. Any thoughts on releasing that, or is that just kind of a project for now? Maybe that is being released on YouTube the way things are these days.
It's something we talked about. I think maybe we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Everything's, like Gordy said, things have been so fluid. It's just sort of, as things seem like a good idea or something that we think we can make happen, we're all for it. I would love to see that happen at some point. I think it'd be really fun thing to release.
Good. The new album is Stranger. It is out now. It came out a few weeks back. We've got Black Cat in the EHM New Music Bin. Tell us a little bit about the title. I know it's inspired by Camus.
Yeah, it's interesting. Originally there was a song called Strangers that we recorded in this batch of tunes, and we kind of started liking the idea of Strangers as a title. And then and it started, the country's more divided than ever, and in some ways we all kind of feel like strangers to each other. And this was even before the pandemic. We were thinking about this, and that idea morphed into just the word stranger, which has kind of more meanings as just an adjective and not necessarily describing someone you don't know. But yeah, we just kind of like this, that it just kind of came about through, it started as one idea, and then it just kind of morphed. And the more we realized, like, this had to be the name of the album. Like, this is actually the thread that's coming through on this thing. And the whole pandemic just made it even more, I mean, it's the strangest times we've ever lived in, I think.
It's almost, I don't want to say a good coincidence, but it's amazing how prophetic it was in a way, because you guys did this last year before this happened, and a lot of what you talk about on the record kind of resonates today, and enforced with everything going on with the election next week and all of that. There's a lot of great songs on this album. Do you guys want to do one more track? Actually, I'm curious, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but we have a request for a cover, and I'm curious if you guys want to do something.
Sure.
Different. Up to you guys.
What would be good? Let me think. How about a John Prine song?
All right.
Seems to have been in the forefront of everyone's mind lately. The last year, we lost him. It's been a tough year on a lot of levels. From obviously just the world sort of collapsing, but just at least for us specifically, losing so many of our musical heroes, and I know for music fans out there, just losing so many people that they were connected to with their music. So this is kind of a fun John Prine tune, and we've played this before in the band. It's something called Sweet Revenge. I got kicked off of Noah's Ark. I turned my cheek to unkind remarks. They were two of everything, one of me. Well, the rain came tumbling down. I held my breath and I stood my ground. And I watched that ship go sailing out to sea. Take it back, Oh Lord, you can't say that. All of my friends are not dead or in jail. Rock, wind, a stone, and the black wind still moan. Sweet revenge without fail. I caught an house seat on the plane. I drove my English teacher half insane, making up jokes about bicycle spokes and red balloons. So I called up my local DJ, and he didn't have a lot to say, but the radio learned all of my favorite tunes. And take it back, oh Lord, you can't say that. All of my friends are not dead or in jail. The rock won the stone, and the black wind still moans. Sweet revenge without fail. White meat is on the run, and the dark meat is far too dumb. The milkman left a note yesterday, so get out of this town by noon. You're coming on way too soon. And besides that, we never liked you anyway. Take it back. Oh Lord, you can't say that. All of my friends are not dead or in jail. The rock won the stone, and the black wind still moan. Sweet revenge without fail. Sweet revenge without fail. We prevail.
Zoom is clapping all over the place. Thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate you doing that, John Prine song. We're taking questions from the audience if you want to send them in the chat privately, and we'll get them on in just a second. I am curious. I alluded to it earlier, and the name of your band is kind of a happy accident in a way, right? It's kind of funny how it worked out. If you want to tell the story, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. The actually, we've kind of come back around to what we originally called the band. It wasn't even a band. It was a Wednesday night kind of just a jam, that a collective of different songwriters and musicians on Wednesday nights in Austin without any plans to ever take it on the road. And we called it the Good Time Supper Club. And it started kind of having a following. And at some point it just ended up being called the Heathens in the newspaper. And we didn't know whether it was double booked and there was some other band called the Heathens that were going to show up, or we didn't really know what was going on. But I think somebody thought it was a funny joke or something, but that name ended up kind of sticking. And then over time, we took the show on the road and started making records.
When did you decide to, was there a moment that you decided, this isn't a side project anymore. It's not just a jam on Wednesday nights. What kind of said to you, we should go out on the road and do this?
Well, I think the first thing that indicated to me that this could be something more than just a sort of fun Wednesday night was when we all started singing together for the first time, There was really an immediate harmony and a chemistry with the way the voices blended that I thought made the kind of grouping of players together something that could be special, if we sort of spent some time and try to write some material for it. So that was my sort of first eureka moment with playing with all the guys.
It's interesting to see how it's developed over the years and how the records are, in a way, very different, and this one's another step forward, or in a different direction, so to speak, working with Tucker. I am curious about the videos that you guys have been doing, because you are, there's one, and I'm hoping you can do the song, Today is the Last Tomorrow, from the record. It's an interesting video. You guys kind of went for it a little bit creatively, it feels like, to say the least.
Yeah, it's funny. We were just finishing mixing on the record when the pandemic started, And we had all these plans during South by Southwest because we all live in different places. So we were all going to be together, and we were going to get photos done and maybe shoot some music videos and do all the things that you do in kind of the lead up to the release of a record. And we couldn't get together. And so we had a kind of a friend of our manager connected us with this guy who's a really great animator. And we decided to just dive into like animated videos. And so we made a couple of those. And then we did a couple other videos with actors and actresses that we didn't appear in. And so, again, it was just like, well, these are our limitations. Let's see what we can make with what we've got.
Well, it sounds great. Why don't we do one more song, and then I want to take a couple questions before we wrap up tonight. It's Ed and Gordy here from the Band of Heathens. The new album is Stranger. It's in the EHM New Music bin, and definitely worth checking out. And we're getting a great sounding preview tonight of these songs here in our virtual studio. Thanks, guys, for doing this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Here's a song that was kind of a last-minute addition to the batch of songs for the record. It's called Call Me Gilded.
Talk is cheap, words a dime a dozen, heart still hangs on every line. The fall of man will be written in a wordless headline, streamed over cloudless sunny skies. If silence is golden, call me gilded. I am quiet in love, my heart beats what you speak of. For love I can show, but may fail to tell you so. If love remain unheard, may it be known. I saw a man, couldn't speak, his mind he lost in starlight, kept his eyes glued to the ground. Tired and hungry, read his sign under the faded stoplight, his dog well fed and smiling proud. If silence is golden, call me gilded. 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 I am quiet in love, my heart beats what you speak of. For love I can show, but may fail to tell you so. If love remain unheard, if love remain unheard, if love remain unheard, may it be known.
Very nice. Ed and Gordy, Band of Heathens, tonight here in our virtual studio, our virtual Halloween party, so to speak. We appreciate everyone coming. I'm curious, we got a question from James. I'm going to go find him right now and unmute him. James, you have a question for the band. Hang on one second, sir. Nice mask. I appreciate that. You came prepared, sir.
Is it okay just for this question I take off the mask?
Sure.
All right. Here I am. Hi. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Well, I got one question for you. Was there a song on the record that took a long time to write? And if there was, what was the process of like overcoming that like writer's block in a way?
I have to think about that.
There are a couple songs that we started recording that didn't make the record because I feel like they might still be in kind of it's almost like, man, this just doesn't feel like it's done. And I'm always kind of looking for ways to tweak a song right up until the last minute. And sometimes songs come really quickly. Sometimes they take a long time. I'm trying to think, this record, I feel like most of the tunes came fairly quickly on. I'm trying to think of some exceptions. I will say to me, I almost like writer's block, I think happens when you're trying, there's like two phases of being creative I think in almost any format. There's the flow mindset where you're just spitting out ideas and you don't edit, you don't judge your ideas. When you're writing them down, you don't go back and correct misspellings. You just like go, and you're trying to just keep up with your kind of stream of consciousness around a subject. And it's funny, like some writers are better flow writers. Ed is actually a really good flow partner to write with. And then there's the other side of writing is the editing side, and that's when you take all your raw, material from flowing. Maybe it's 4 or 5 pieces of paper from just brainstorming a subject matter or rhymes with something, or whenever you get stuck, think about what you're stuck with, and then just start stream of consciousness and you'll find a way around whatever it is. And then you go back and you edit and you put structure and you try to rhyme and you do all the things that make it feel not like stream of consciousness. And so I think the key for me, and it's weird to talk about songwriting because it's kind of mysterious. There's not a formula, but I do feel like there are tricks that you can like develop to get around things like when you feel like you're stuck. Well, make sure you're not trying to edit and flow at the same time. And just commit to being, okay, for 20 minutes, I'm only going to flow, and then I'm going to edit for 20 minutes and just keep, I think you get stuck when you try to do both those things at the same time.
I know you guys had a lot of songs. You mentioned that. I feel like you might have said you had 25 songs or thereabouts, where you kind of pared it down to 10 for this album release. Are you working on maybe kind of finishing those other songs and releasing those maybe for another record?
Well, maybe, it's funny because the last couple of records that we've done, actually the last few records that we've done, there's probably 20, 25 songs. We recorded like 14 for this. So there's like 4 more that are pretty much done-ish. We'll see. I mean, and we probably have half of another record in progress, So what ends up happening is it's just sort of like project specific, So when we get into the next album, when we start to form the idea of what the album's going to be, there's some songs that might be great songs, but they're just not songs that work for the the grouping of tunes. And we still sort of take the sequencing and the idea of making an album really seriously. I know everybody that streams, and I stream music all the time and listen to singles. I love that, but I also think people love having a sort of a sonic or a lyric narrative across an album, be able to look at artwork and sort of have that real enveloping experience, which I love too. So, we try to make sure that we're kind of, touching all bases with that as much as possible.
I have to say, I like the artwork on the album. It's kind of, does it symbolize something? Because when I was looking at it, it's just a very cool, it's simple. But I was curious who did that and where that came from.
That was a friend of ours named Jason Ambrose. He did the artwork, and we were really into the idea of something simple but that had layers of meaning. And I think if you look at that design a few different ways, it can be a few different things. And we were that's what we were going for.
I'm curious too about, and it's interesting that you talk about how these songs are kind of specific to the Tucker experience as your producer, probably in that time and mindset. For a new record, are there any producers you'd like to work with, or you're thinking about, or would you go back to kind of doing everything yourselves again?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think we're that far down the road with it yet that we know. But I mean, I'm always open to working with different people. but I also think we've been doing this a long time, and I think we're sort of we kind of know what we're looking for too, you know. So I think it would be fine if we did it ourselves too. I think it just, like I said, I think it just depends on the songs and sort of when we get into the creative moment of like saying like we're kind of starting a record, you know, just what that kind of I feel like it ends up dictating itself to us, you know. I don't feel like we've ever really forced the process, so you know, it reveals itself in a mysterious way. It's much like songwriting insofar as like you know it's going to come. You just got to kind of be patient for it and be ready. You know, when it just sort of raps on the door and says, "I'm here, it's time." You know, you have to sort of drop whatever you're doing and be ready to kind of pursue it.
Well,
You know, it's funny, on the producer front, I just had a thought. Like, each one of us in the band, like, we produce records for other artists. We are the band. We've been the band for Kid Rock and for lots of, like, we've played on lots of records, and we love making records, even when they're not our art. Like, it's not our statement. It's really fun collaborating and getting outside of what is the Band of Heathens and just like throwing yourself into someone else's songs and going for it and being open to whatever's going to happen. But I will say, even though we're fully capable of making records for ourselves or for other people, sometimes it's really nice bringing in an outside creative force, somebody that you really respect, you love what they do, you know, you trust their taste, and you challenge them to challenge you. And you say, we are going to follow you down whatever road you want to go because we're looking to get your thing mixed into what we do, and also to kind of be a tie-breaking vote, and just like it's kind of fun to mix it up, and like, you know, we're always trying to do something different. And so sometimes that producer role, it's just somebody who you dig what they do, and you're just trying to like get a little bit of that flavor mixed in.
have you guys been working on? It sounds like you've been working on other projects for other people during the past 6 months. Anything that's coming out soon, or that you guys want to talk about?
Man, we did a week of live streaming here in Austin. We got everybody together for the first time in 7 months, and we got to play together. This is when the record came out, the week the record came out. And I'm in my studio right now in Austin. It's called the Finishing School, and we work here. This is kind of our clubhouse when we're in Austin. But it's been under construction for almost a full year. And it just now kind of is getting finished, and we're starting to fire it back up and make records again. But I made a record the week after the Heathens were all here. A friend of ours named Jason Eady, really great songwriter, and man, he just brought. I've known him for 15 years, and he brought the best batch of tunes I've ever heard him write. And we made a record in like 3 days that is really, really great. And we're going to mix it here in the next month. And so be on the lookout for a record from a guy named Jason Eady. It's really good.
How long have you had the studio in Austin? Because I feel like it's within the past couple of years that you guys put it together and built it. How has that changed, I guess, your approach to the band? And I'd imagine it has to.
Well, it actually has been a studio for probably 10 or 15 years. Our good friend and mentor, George Reef, he started building this place. And we actually made our record, Sunday Morning Record, here, and our first album was mixed here, and we did A Message from the People, a Ray Charles album that we recreated from start to finish. We recorded here as well, but George was kind of a mentor, and we learned a lot about making records from George. He passed away like 3 years ago, and when he passed away, the studio was kind of going to be broken up and sold off, and so I basically have taken over the studio in the last, I'd say 3 years. And so it's kind of been we've made a lot of records here even before with George, but in the last 3 years, it's kind of become more of our clubhouse with the Band of Heathens.
Very good. Thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate it. Ed and Gordy, you sound terrific, and we really love the new record, and we just like spending time with you. So thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to see y'all.
We're going to wrap up here. I want to say thank you to you guys. Of course, Stranger in the EHM New Music Bin. We've got some prizes to give out as we wrap this up. Costume contest, I feel like everyone's there's only a few people that are dressed up. So I want to get anyone with a costume. I'm going to get you passes if I can, or some type of prize. So we're going to chat with you afterwards. I'll make sure we line everyone up. I've got everyone's information from entering and putting in your RSVP. So we'll do that. Let's see. Do you guys want to do one more song to wrap this up? You sound amazing, and I figure let's wrap it up on a song.
Sure. Let's do. We can do Today Is Our Last Tomorrow. That one that you mentioned the video for. So.
Band of Heathens, Ed and Gordy here. I want to say congratulations. I am going to pick the winner of the costume contest because it's pressure, and I'm just going to kind of randomly select something that hits me here. I am going to go with Owner. I don't know your name, Owner, but you guys are in full costume regalia. I have to admit, I'm very impressed by Jay Solito as well. So we're going to get you passes to Gateway, the walkthrough, or maybe the drive one. But congratulations to Owner. We got to get your name. Send me a message privately, and we'll do that. Thanks for everyone for coming out tonight, and thank you once again to Ed and Gordy for spending the time. We really appreciate it. They sound amazing, and thank you for being a part of our EHM Halloween party.
I heard it on the news, a version of the truth. Was it fact, packed of fiction and fable? Said California's burning, the earth will soon stop turning. The horses out of the stable. The world is crumbling down, can't you hear the sound? Today is our last tomorrow. Today is our last. Today is our last tomorrow. Today is our last. See, it's time to build the wall, 1,000 miles tall. Protect what we have taken, 'cause if we let them in, our way of life will end. Some people are forsaken. Yesterday was good, wouldn't change it if I could. Today is our last tomorrow. Today is our last tomorrow. Today is our last. Today is our last tomorrow. Hey. Up and down, let it down, 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 down. Let it down now, let it down, I don't remember it this way. I heard my father say, I don't like where we're going. But what I think is worse is the eternal curse. In death we're all unknowing. So yesterday was good, wouldn't change it if I could. Today is our last tomorrow. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, no way we're getting out. Today is our last tomorrow. Today is our last. Today is our last tomorrow. Today is our last tomorrow. Said today is our last. Yes, it is.
A round of Zoom applause for everyone. And Ed and Gordy here from the Band of Heathens. Thank you so much for doing this. A great setup. You sound amazing, and we really we appreciate you doing this. Happy Halloween. Enjoy the rest of your night. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Ocean Air Services, the North Fork Chocolate Company, Main Road in Aquabog, and Brigand's Run, an outdoor walkthrough attraction at Gateway's Haunted Playhouse. I sent some people some messages of prizes, so shoot me one back, and I want to get your information, and we will get those to you. Thanks, everyone, for your time. Have a great night. Get home safe wherever you are, and pick up the record Stranger. It's really a great listen, and we appreciate you being here for it.